Hey everyone, hope you're all wondering why I'm outside, embracing the beautiful sunlight like you all should be, and you should all be doing this, because you gotta avoid infectious stuff like, no, what's that? What is that? What is that? Oh my god, it's back, it's back, it's back! What is up all you beautiful people? It is I, AkemiTCG, back here with a brand new video. With popular request, a lot of people have been asking, where is the rikkafairy Aromages combo deck list? You requested, we hit the quota, way over the quota, and I will deliver. Anyways, it's going to be a quick deck profile. I'm not sure if it'll be quick, but this will be a competitive adaptation of rikkafairies and Aromages. As such, some of the cards, because it's competitive in this meta, unfortunately, isn't too cheap. There is going to be some competitive cards in here. That being said, down below in the description, I will list alternatives to said cards that may or may not be in your budget. Anyways, before I start the video, the pack raffle question will be somewhere in this video. The pack raffle winner of the previous video will be in the comments down below. If you're unsure how to enter the raffle, make sure to comment, like, subscribe, and there's going to be a question somewhere in this video that's going to be maybe 5-6 seconds long. Answer the question correctly in the comments and you are automatically entered into a free pack for the next video. Anyways, let's get started. Let's go right into it. This main deck's going to be 40 cards. Extra deck, obviously 15 cards. There is some tweaking I need to do in it, but there is some spice in here. So let's get right into it. So 3 ups, we got 3 Snowdrop. Snowdrop's arguably going to be one of the best cards in the deck. This is the combo starter. The only caveat is you need a face-up plant monster on the field for this card to resolve. So right now, a lot of people are opting to play Ghost Ogre. Ghost Ogre is a really good option in this format, especially against this deck, just because if an activated effect, I get the effect, that's fine, but my monster leaves the field. Somebody that knows how to play against this deck will Ghost Ogre the first monster they summon, and that's pretty much the choke point. So fingers crossed that doesn't happen, or they can even possibly Ghost Ogre this card. Whatever. Second thing is, this card loses the blue eyes because when this card's effect is activated in the hand, the cost is tributing the plant monster. Okay? But you special summon both this card and any of the other plants from your hand onto the field, therefore it's 2 summons at the same time. So if you happen to play against Blue Eyes White Dragon where they summon Blue Eyes Spirit, then you're kind of in a bind because you cannot summon Snowdrop during or while Blue Eyes Spirit is on the field. Just a heads up, quick 101. But this makes any rank 8 plant as you wish. 3 Mudon. Mudon's going to be your searcher for the spells and traps, glamour, tranquility, sheets, whatever. You name it, they got it. 3 Rikka. This card always comes back unless you have a non-plant on the field, which can happen in this version of the deck. There's not really much to say about this card. It's just really good. Level 1. Non-tuner, but that's fine because you can just copy it in the off sense. In the off case that sometimes you can make some nice combos with Snowdrop and Rikka where you can copy Rikka's level and then make some nice rank 1 plays, which you'll see later on. 1 Erica, this is the 1000 buffer. You usually don't really search for this unless it's the last resort, or if you need the extra 1000 damage per game, or just for defensive options, like if they have something big on the field, or you think they're gonna bring something big to run over your teardrop, then you search Erica, have in your hand, get that 1000 bonus in. Also, if it's in the graveyard, this tends to be a niche effect. If you tribute a monster, you can special summon itself for free, but it gets banished after the fact unless you exceed under it. Which in that case, it will not get banished. I tend to not really use the second effect that much because I don't really think about it, but remember, Petal can either add or send 1 Rikka card from your deck to the graveyard. So just keep that in mind, alright? 1 Hellbore. This is just for the targeting. I know a lot of people are playing Infinite Impermanence or any other targeting cards. For example, Zodiacs, they play Zodiac Trident, it does target. So this could save you in a bind. Sometimes I search it depending on the matchup. Usually if it's blind, I search it because a lot of decks just do target. Except for Dingirsu and Orcus, which this is kind of something you just got to deal with. But anyways, it's also a level 8, so if for some reason or somehow you're able to summon 2 Snowdrops at 1 turn, maybe off of Aromages Rosemary, then you don't have to use Snowdrop's effect earlier. You can go into Teardrop and then save your another Snowdrop for maybe another seed. Sometimes you can go to Snowdrop and Kanzashi on the same turn. And the second effect also lets her bring herself back too by attributing a plant monster. Primula, I play 1. This is more of an extender. I was running the Carrot Weight Champion instead, the one that you can discard 1 plant monster and special summon it from the graveyard, but I realized this is more useful just because A, it's a Rikka card so you can search for it off of Glamour, and B, it's a lot easier to summon than trying to get it to the graveyard, because when I had to play the World Carrot card, I would always be thinking about how would I get this card to the graveyard, and I realized I just never managed to use it correctly, so Primula is just better in that sense. Also, you can target 2 plant monsters you control, buff their levels by 2. So that's always really good, especially when you're going for a Spore play, a Synchro play, or something like that. You can definitely make some nasty Synchros with that. 3 Lone Fire. Obviously, if you're playing a plant deck, Lone Fire is amazing. This card is so good. It just sucks when it gets Impermed or, what is it? Impermed Ash. Or whatever. I mean, that's the deck's biggest weakness, which is hand traps. It can play through some hand traps, but if you're playing against pure hand trap deck, let's say like Sky Striker, then it's definitely going to be a tougher matchup. 1 Spore. You can only activate 1 anyways per duel, and level 1 tuner, you basically can go into pretty much any of your synchros with these. And also, since Snowdrop's really good, Spore can banish something from the graveyard. Let's say like you want to make a rank 4 Exceed, right? Spore's in the graveyard, you can banish Lone Fire from the graveyard, special summon Spore. Spore becomes a level 4. If you have a Snowdrop on the field, you can copy Spore. Now you can make any rank 4 you want. So in the first rank 4 that comes to mind is the newer rikkafairy that's coming out. I think it's called Stremula or something like that, something along those lines, and that can be a viable play in the future. Just a heads up. 2 Aromages Laurel. This is where the Aromages cards come in. I'm just playing 2 copies of Laurel because this is only special summonable if you have more life points than your opponent. That is sometimes the case when you're going first with Evil Thorn, but other than that, it's a little bit harder to summon him. I used to play him at 3, but I just found 2 is the perfect happy medium. And also, when you go off into Aromages Rosemary, off of him, you gain life points, so you're gonna immediately proc Rosemary's effect to search your deck for any plant from deck to the hand. And usually you search for Angelica. Angelica, 2 really cool effects. I was running this at 3, but I just found it way too cloggy and I just didn't want to see it that much. You can discard this card from the hands of the graveyard if you have an Aromages monster in the graveyard, so including Aromages Rosemary, the link to. You gain that life points of the card that you targeted. So usually you go Laurel into Rosemary. Rosemary is search for this. Angelica, pitch itself. Target Laurel, gain 800 life points. Now since your life points would be higher than your opponent, hypothetically, you can special summon it onto the field, as long as you have an Aromages monster on the field. And then you can go off with Rosemary and special summon any plant from the deck. And usually you go for Lone Fire and then you keep going from there. And then, really wish I had this card, but I don't. 3 Evil Thorns. You're gonna see it on the screen. I definitely just wanted to showcase this, and Evil Thorns are just way too much money for what I think it should be worth right now. But basically, if you don't know what it does, you tribute itself, summon up to 2 Evil Thorns from your deck. It's also a level 1 too, so 1 for 1 plays. You tribute itself, your opponent loses 300 life points, then you can special summon up to 2 Evil Thorns from your deck in attack position if you want. So now your opponent's life points are going to be lower than you. So that's always good for the Aromages, and you have 2 monsters that you special summon off of it, and you're not locked into anything yet. Like half of this deck locks you into plants, for example. Using Rikka Petal's effect locks you into plants, and using Snowdrop's effect locks you into plants. Well, Snowdrop's hand summoning effect, I mean, not the copy effect. So with Evil Thorn, you can immediately make an Anaconda if you want. You can immediately make literally any card you want. You can make Rosemary, and it's free. It's just really flexible, and I think it's a very good card in the plant deck in general. Now for the spice, alright? I am playing 1 Elemental Hero Honest Neos and 1 Rainbow Dragon. And people wondering, why are you playing these 2 brick cards in this deck? Well, obviously I'm playing Neos Fusion. I'll get into that in a second, but the reason why I'm playing Rainbow Neos is this deck has an extremely hard time breaking boards. Like, it's absolutely almost impossible to break boards with this deck. Just because this deck is more like a mid-range control. Like, I don't really have real interruptions, like hand traps on my opponent's turn, just like Unchained does with their monsters and their stuff that destroys. So there has to be an alternative way for this deck to kind of stay afloat. And Rainbow Neos does pretty much everything I want this deck to do. Like, if they have too many stuff in the graveyard, I can shuffle it back with Rainbow Neos. If they have too many things on the field, I can shuffle it back with Rainbow Neos. If they have too much spells and traps on the field, I can shuffle it back with Rainbow Neos. Just very flexible card, and I've been digging it a lot. And it's also 4,500 beater. So with Rainbow Neos and Verta Anaconda on the field, you have literally 5,000 points of damage on board. And that's not including like any of the other summons you previously done that turn. So I think it's a really good card to have in the deck. 3, Rikka Glamour. Obviously, this is the search card of the deck. I usually don't use the first effect or the second effect where you tribute a monster, then you can add any plant monster from your deck to your hand with the same type. But usually it's pretty good with Evil Thorn. Like, if you start Evil Thorn and you don't have Petal, then you can sack to get Petal. But it's honestly up on you guys. Or you Evil Thorn and sack and get, what is it? Sack Evil Thorn, summon 2. You special summon Laurel, and then you can go off from there. It's pretty clean. Because by the time you special summon Laurel, your life points are going to be lower than your opponent's anyways. Plus, when you link with those two cards, you're going to be automatically triggering, what is it? Rosemary's effect. That does not include the other rikkafairy Machi grab off of this too. Just a heads up. That's why Evil Thorn is so good. 1 Aroma Gardening. I was thinking of pushing this to 2. But the thing is, this deck is more orientated on like setting up for the Rikka plays more so than the whole Aromage combo dynamic. Just because I understand the whole Aromage combos for whatever reason are just very slow, so to speak. Like, you play Human Wind, you play Blessed Wind, you play all these trap cards to get your Aromage cards. I personally feel like I'm locked into trying to summon Rosemary ASAP, and it makes your plays more linear. So it kind of like, the word for it is like tunnel vision into summoning Rosemary first. And I kind of sometimes don't like that. And I found like the happiest spot or the perfect spot for this card is at 1, because I feel like it's a more reactive card than an active card, especially in sort of combo deck. 1 Rikka Flurries. A lot of people are saying don't play this card, it's bad, but I honestly think this isn't a bad card at all. Here's multiple reasons why. If any monster I control is tributed, let's say like using Tranquility, using Snowdrop's effect, and using Teardrop's effect to target one of my monsters, that is possible too. Using Hellbore's effect, your opponent has to tribute a monster, and especially if you play Rikka Sheet and they have 2 monsters. Let's say like the other time I was playing against an Invoke player, he had a Boral Sword and an Invoke Macabre on the field. I had Flurries up, I activate Rikka Sheet, I took his Boral Sword because next turn his Macabre is going to be a threat, and since I attributed a monster to do that, since I took his Boral Sword, all he had left on the field was Macabre. Flurries activates and he has to get rid of his Macabre. Next turn, all he had on the field was a Boral Sword, so which is pretty damn easy for this deck to get over. So I really like Rikka Flurries, and even so, on the next turn, when he still had just Boral Sword on the field, my Petal came back, I tributed it off a Snowdrop, and then Rikka Flurries activated, he had to tribute his Boral Sword, and then I had game. It's really that plain and simple. 1 for 1. You have to play this card. This card's amazing in this deck. If they bring this card ever back up to 2 or 3, this deck would be so much better. But basically 1 for 1 is your combo extender. You always want to see Petal. You do always want to special summon Evil Thorn, so just a good card. 1 Neos Fusion. You need to play this because you're playing Rainbow Neos. And also, it gives recursion from the graveyard. A lot of people don't know this, but if you try to destroy the Rainbow Neos by battle or card effect, I do have 1 continuous protection in the graveyard and just banish it to protect it for free, and it's just really good. A lot of people don't know that. 3 Infinite Impermanence. This deck struggles against Vanity's Fiend, or any Floodgate for that matter, that's a monster. With spells and trap floodgates, we side into those and we go into game 2s and 3. But this card is really good going 1st or 2nd. That's why I'm opting to play 3 Impermanence instead of Ash or any of the other sort. And also this puts pressure on board because the more traps on the field, the more pressure the opponent has. 2 Rico Tranquility. I was thinking of playing 2 Rikka Sheets instead of Tranquility, but I like Tranquility better because it gives you recursion plays for the next turn. It also pairs really well with Sheet. You take one of their monsters, then you tribute that monster with Tranquility so you can get 2 of your plants back. It's just a really good card. Also gives you more defense as well. Just a very flexible card, and I like it a lot, honestly. 1 Humid Winds. This is the only, or I'm only playing one of these just because searching for an Aromages card isn't vital for the deck. I may take this out for something more faster, such as Dinetherium. I just have to see. More testing with this deck will be done, but I want to find ways to special summon quicker so I can get into Verte whenever I want, as opposed to waiting until turns 2 and 3 to do so. Bless the Winds, same idea. I just like shuffling my monsters back into the deck and gaining life points off of it. It's really good when it's combined with the Synchro monster, Seraphery, I think. Oh, sweet Mordrem, my bad. It's really good when you combine that with that Synchro monster, so I don't know what else to say about that card. And Rikka Sheet, obviously, just to interrupt your opponent. This is a form of interruption, and you can also take their card, turns it into a plant, then you can do whatever you want with that. Anyways, that is the main. We're going to right into the extra deck. Extra deck is going to be a good amount of cards. 15 cards. 1 Rosemary. Not much to say about the card. You gain life points, then you can negate stuff, but basically I use this more so as a beater. It makes all my plant monsters big and I just poke with them. 1 Sweet Mordrem. The only biggest issue I have with this card is the only way I can summon her without using more than 2 resources is if I banish Primula from the graveyard and go off into it. Since I only play 1 level 4, this is basically the main way I get into Mordrem. I may or may not take her out just because I don't summon her frequently, but we'll just have to see. Then 1 Black Rose Dragon. The only real way you're going to summon this is by getting rid of Rosemary, because I can't really think of any other play for that, so I may take this out as well. But nuking the board and also turning one of your opponents in defense into attack mode and doing some extra damage to them is not bad at all. Now for the Exceeds. 1 Princess Sprite. You play 3 Sylvan monsters in here. If you want to recur them back, you can. And also, so you play a good amount of spells or traps. You can also add stuff to the hand too. It's just very good card. Also has 1800 attack for rank 1. So 2 level 1s, you just have a beater that's 1800. And plus with her, that becomes a 2300 beater. So keep that in mind. I've used this graveyard effect a few times. It's pretty good when it comes in handy. Araya, I really wish this was a rank 8 instead of a rank 7. It's a lot harder to summon. Basically the idea is you banish a Spore. Not Spore, but banish Mudon off a Spore to make it into a 7 and then get Snowdrop. You get Araya. So Araya, what it does is you can send 1 from your hand or face up on the field to the graveyard. Send 1 plant. And then based on the level, you can excavate the top cards of your deck based on that level and then rearrange them in any order. So if you get rid of Mudon, you get to look at the top 6 cards of your deck and rearrange them in any order. Here's the kicker. Once per turn, you can detach 1 Exceed monster from this card, choose a number from 1 to 3, excavate that many cards on top of your deck. You've already rearranged your deck at this point, okay? Send all excavated plant monsters to the graveyard, and then and if you do, return that many cards on the field to the hand. This is the Tiara Misu for the deck. If you're playing Madolche, this is Tiara Misu for this deck. It's so good, does not target, and you're just bouncing cards on the field back to the hand, and it's also 2800 as a beater, so really very good. Just send your stuff to the graveyard, put stuff to the hand. Like, what more can you expect, right? So good. 1 Alsay. This basically lets you also send stuff from the top of your deck to the graveyard, and also lets you bounce cards from the field to the top of the owner's deck. Except it does target, which does suck, but it's okay. It's okay. Fairy Knight in Gunnar. If you guys don't know what this card does, this card is insane. You need 3 level 6s. Detach 2. Return all other cards on the field to the hand, okay? So, what are you thinking to yourself? You can just Solemn Strike it. You can just get rid of it some other way. Effect Veiler, whatever. Your opponent cannot activate cards or effects in response to this effect's activation. If you summon this and they say it's okay, it goes through, oh boy, your opponent's gonna have a bad time, to say the least. If you Dark Ruler no more and go on to Ingunar, you're a goat. 2 Kanzashi. I never summoned 2, so I'm just gonna keep it at 1, but that's basically the Monster Reborn. I had to find a replacement for it, but most likely it would be replaced with the rank 4 Rikka once we get one. I just usually never really summon her, but when you do, you usually have game. No doubt about it. 2 Teardrop, the bread and butter, the quick effect. It's just a good card. It's very aesthetic. Whack-a-mole with an umbrella. 2 Jasmine. This card is really good in the sense that you get to add any plant from the deck to your hand, and you get to special summon 1 plant from your deck to the field. Are you kidding me? It's just so good. There's too many good things about this card that I just can't get over that fact. Obviously 1 Verte Anaconda, 1 Rainbow Neos. Just works out. Again, this deck has a hard time going second. This is the inherent out to a lot of going second boards. In that case, we are going straight to the sideboard. The sideboard is going to be straight for going second, except for 3 cards. But basically 3 Nibiru, very oppressive. You have to respect the meta that a lot of people are going to be summoning or playing Adamantippators. They will not always have Aromages Guardian initially. So Nibiru is going to be the out for a lot of synchro spam decks. It's just really good. 3 Lightning Storms. Substitutes for this is Twin Twisters. You do want to summon yourself in the graveyard. But the general idea is this is both in one. This is essentially 6 side deck cards in one. And that's why I really like it. You destroy all their back row or destroy all their face-up attack position monsters. And especially if you go in second, you're not going to have any face-up cards on the field anyways. So that's just the way around it. 3 Mystic Minds for going second. It's very, very hard for this deck to recover, especially if your opponent makes a long board. So Mystic Mind, you bait out all their spells and trap negates, then you can go into basically a grind game where you try to outgrind your opponent. And this deck can definitely outgrind since Petal always comes back. 3 Evenly Match. Same reason, you want to be able to get rid of boards. And last but not least, 2 Sanctums, 1 Scythe. During your opponent's turn, if they do any shenanigans, you just go into Sanctum, Scythe. And if they're playing an extra deck card, then you just lock them out. Or any extra deck cards, you lock them out of the extra deck. And it's just really, really good. Anyways, that is it. I know this video went on a little bit long, but I'm very, very excited to take this deck to locals, give it a shot, see how it goes. Any recommendations, do let me know down below, but I am really enjoying this deck. It's so much fun. Very different than any of the other decks I've played. It's like half control and half, half combo at the same time. Anyways, I'm AkemiTCG. Hope you all enjoyed. I will see you guys in the next video. Stay beautiful.
The world ends now.